6 people, 6 killers, 6 moments where death had already decided who would live and lost. Some of them fought. Some of them lied their way out. One of them simply refused to die. These are the ones who looked a serial killer in the eye and walked away. It's November 1974. Carol Durant is standing in a Utah shopping mall parking lot when a man in a sport coat approaches her, flashing a badge. He tells her someone tried to break into her car. He needs her to come identify the suspect at the police station. Everything about him seems calm, official, believable. She follows him to an unmarked Volkswagen Beetle, and the moment the door closes behind her, he lunges, snapping a handcuff onto her wrist and pressing a crowbar to her skull. She fights. She claws at his face, forces the door open, and throws herself out of the moving car into oncoming traffic, screaming for help. The man behind the wheel is Ted Bundy. Carol's description of him and his car becomes one of the first threads that unravels his identity, and years later, on the stand, she becomes one of the only survivors ever to testify against him in open court. Number 2. Mary Vincent. Not every escape looks like a fight. Sometimes it looks like patience. In 1978, a 15-year-old girl named Mary Vincent is hitchhiking home when a friendly-looking older man offers her a ride. For a while, the conversation is easy. Then, somewhere on a dark stretch of California highway, everything changes. Lawrence Singleton attacks her, and when he's finished, he does something almost incomprehensible. He mutilates her and leaves her for dead in a ravine, certain she won't survive to identify him. She does survive, bleeding and in shock. Mary claws her way up the embankment and flags down a passing car, still alive enough to describe exactly what happened to her. Her testimony puts Singleton behind bars. Decades later, she turns her survival into a foundation that helps other victims of violent crime rebuild their lives. Unmistakable proof that he failed. Number 3. Kathy Kleiner and Karen Chandler. For years later, in a sorority house 1,100 miles away, 2 young women are asleep in their beds when a stranger slips through an unlocked door in the middle of the night. Kathy Kleiner and Karen Chandler don't wake until the blows are already falling. A wooden club crashing down again and again in the dark. By the time the attacker vanishes into the night, 2 of their sorority sisters are already dead in the rooms next door. Kathy and Karen, broken and bleeding, somehow survive injuries that should have killed them. The man who did this is the same one who tricked Carol Durant into his car, now on the final, most violent night of his murder spree before his capture. He is Ted Bundy. Number 4. Tracy Edwards. Some survivors don't just escape. They walk straight back into the killer's home, with police right behind them. It's July 22, 1991, in Milwaukee, and a man named Tracy Edwards has just spent an evening drinking with a stranger who invited him back to his apartment. The mood shifts fast. Before Edwards understands what's happening, there's a knife at his ribs and a handcuff locked around his wrist. His host makes him sit on a blood-stained bed and watch a horror movie while he calmly explains that he's going to remove Edwards' heart and eat it. For 4 unbearable hours, Edwards does the only thing he can think to do. He stays calm, keeps talking, convinces the man they're friends, waits for him to let his guard down. When that moment finally comes, Edwards throws a punch, breaks for the door, and sprints into the street with the handcuff still swinging from his wrist. A patrol car spots him. Minutes later, officers walk into the apartment of Jeffrey Dahmer and find the remains of 11 men. Tracy Edwards was meant to be victim number 18. Instead, he's the reason the killing stopped. Number 5. Lisa McVeigh. Sometimes survival means playing a part so convincingly the killer never sees the escape coming. In November 1984, 17-year-old Lisa McVeigh is riding her bike home from her night shift job in Tampa when a man forces her into his car at gunpoint. For 26 terrifying hours, she is held captive, and somewhere in that ordeal, she makes a decision that will save her life. She stops seeing him as a monster and starts treating him like a person. She talks to him. She earns something close to his trust. And the entire time, she's quietly building a case against him, memorizing the details of his face by touch, noting the sounds and layout of his home, even pressing her fingerprints on his surfaces in his bathroom in case she never makes it out to tell anyone herself. Eventually, almost unbelievably, he lets her go. Her memory and evidence help convict Bobby Joe Long. a man responsible for a string of murders across the Tampa Bay area. And Lisa's composure under 26 hours of terror becomes the reason his spree finally ends. Number 6. Whitney Bennett. And then there's the story that seems to defy explanation entirely. The night a killer's own superstition saved a life. In 1985, 16-year-old Whitney Bennett is attacked in her own home by a man who has already terrorized California for over a year, breaking into houses and murdering without pattern or warning. He beats her with a tire iron and wraps a telephone cord around her throat. But as he pulls it tight, sparks leap from the cord in the dark, and something about that flash of light stops him cold. He believes it's a sign, a warning. He turns and flees into the night, leaving Whitney alive with wounds that require hundreds of stitches to close. The man is Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, a killer who showed almost no mercy to anyone else he targeted. For reasons only he could explain, Whitney Bennett is one of the very few people he let live. 6 different killers, 6 different decades, and 6 people who, in the space of a single terrifying moment, found something in themselves strong enough to survive it. Quick thinking, raw physical fight, or the simple refusal to stop trying. Their attackers are gone now, dead, convicted, or both. But these 6 are still here, and their stories are the reason we know exactly how those monsters operated, because someone lived to tell it.